Okay, campers, I'm back. And I don't know what happened with the YouTube stream, but I just started another one. And even though it looks like Rumble and Kicks is fine, my internet did not go down. It just, the YouTube stream just stopped. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out later. Maybe I'll get an email or something. Either way, right now, it did not look like there was any problem. I had excellent connection showing on YouTube, and then all of a sudden it just ended. I don't know. It could be also maybe YouTube's having a problem. I don't know. Anyway, let's go to the next subject here. And actually, wait a minute here. I got to refresh my YouTube chat. Okay. All right. So let's what is going on here? There we go. Okay. So let's do this. Let's kind of a good thing we were actually at a point to where I wanted to change topics. I want to change franchises. We're going from Star Wars to now Star Trek. So let's switch over. Oh, turn my spoiler thing off. You know, we're a professional show around here. Not. I hope you had a chance to get some iced coffee and stuff. I know I did. Anyway, let's talk about a few things going on in Star Trek. First one right here, if you didn't know, on May 30th, the absolute last and final episode of Star Trek Discovery, which I did not watch, aired on May 30th. So now that show is actually done. And to be honest with you, I'm glad. But there's an article here on Red Shirts Always Die that talks about why Alex Kurtzman reveals why Star Trek Discovery didn't resonate with fans. All right, so yeah, I haven't been on Google yet today a whole lot. Let me see. Is this what you're talking about right here? Because on mine it's showing celebrating Janine Cordova. Tracy said Google's got a whole other topic. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Is she an agenda person? I don't know who that is. Oh, lovely. Yeah, lesbian and gay rights. Well, are you surprised? I'm not. I am not surprised whatsoever. I mean, it's Pride Month. We're gonna get it coming and going. Anyway, and I'll be honest with you, I'm so sick of it. Let's talk about Star Trek, though. Alex Kurtzman reveals why Star Trek Discovery didn't resonate with fans. Says Alex Kurtzman is saying what many fans who dislike Star Trek Discovery have been saying for years. Exactly. The show was dark. In an interview with LA Times via Slash Film, he defines the series as interpreting the point of history the show was in when it debuted. In other words, modern times were dark, and so was the show. Really? Shocker there. In other words, we were going through, at one point, the summer of love, the pandemic, and you chose to incorporate that darkness and everything into your show. We saw the nation fracture hugely right after the election, and it's only gotten worse since then, interpreting that through science fiction. Of course, he didn't want to acknowledge all the other stuff. He wants to acknowledge, oh, it's because of Trump. Shocker. You got TDS. The big problem with that is that people don't watch Star Trek or mostly any television series, really, to focus on what's going on in the current world. If they want to see that, they can watch the news. Yeah. This is not granted, Star Trek has been one of those shows that's always dealt with cultural issues, but not the exact stuff that's going on. It's always kind of given a moral stance on things, a story behind things. But people, when they go to watch their favorite shows, they don't want to be preached at. They want to escape their life for a little while. If they want to be sucked into what is going on in the world, all you got to do is turn on the news or pull up a newspaper or go check out on Twitter. But normally when you watch a show, at least it used to be, a way to kind of unplug from the world and your daily troubles and your life for just a little bit to kind of get a respite. At least I know for this little penguin it was. And Star Trek was one of those shows that did that for me. It hasn't since Kurtzman took control, but it was. And I still turn from time to time to watch old Star Trek. When I say old Star Trek, I mean like TOS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, those type of things. He goes on to say, Star Trek fans are diverse with different belief systems and different ways of looking at the world, but Star Trek is one way that has, for the most part, been able to unite us all as a community. But taking what Kurtzman and his team considered wrong in the world and trying to show it through science fiction wasn't the best course of action in this instance, especially since Star Trek in the past has always been able to find the balance with the light and darkness. Exactly. Star Trek in the past was what Gene Roddenberry did, was always kind of like present what's going on in pop culture or modern day culture, but kind of at the end of it, it lets you decide. It didn't really mirror what's actually happening per se. Instead, you see with contrast, what Kurtzman did, he literally tried to push modern day agenda and politics and wokeness and what's happening in culture right into the show. And people don't want to see that. Like I said, they don't want to watch their shows to be preached at. Get a clue. You have to know who your audience is. You have to know who you're talking to. You have to know who you're trying to win over with your show. People aren't going to watch it just because you made something. It doesn't work that way. Even I know that as a YouTuber, creating content and so forth. I have to be paying attention to what I think my audience is and what I think they want to see or hear. I don't have a very big following, but nevertheless, I try to pay attention to that type of stuff. If something doesn't work, then I stop doing it. It just makes sense. If somebody doesn't want to hear what you're saying or watch what you're making, maybe it's because they don't like what you're doing. Just a thought. So, with that said, Paramount, and we should be getting a something announced, I would think, maybe in the next few days, because this happened on Monday. This article came out on Monday about a merger between Paramount and Skydance. If you don't remember who Skydance is the production company that made the J.J. Abrams Star Treks. The Star Trek 2009, the Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond. I think it's Star Trek Beyond. Is that the right name? Anyway, nevertheless, this article says the business of Star Trek news can't all be about the excitement of an upcoming new season, a huge character reveal, or an Oscar-winning lead. Sometimes it's actually about business. If you got even half of Ferengi's interest in the intricacies of high-stakes deals between multinational media conglomerates, then this is the announcement for you. As reported today by David Faber on CNBC, after several months of negotiations, Paramount and Skydance Media have settled on a merger agreement. This deal could be great business for Star Trek and more Star Trek content moving forward. Oh, excuse me. What else is new? I hear you cry as you flick out the next salmon pink page of the Financial Times. Sean Ferrick of, and I've watched him some, he's a YouTuber. I think he does Trek Culture, I believe it is. Sean Ferrick already bravely reported on the possibility of a Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Global merger back in December. Obviously, that fell through. That didn't happen. Yeah, there's some things I like about Trek Culture, and there's some things I don't agree with what Sean says. I feel like sometimes he's drunk the Kool-Aid so he can continue to have access to things, which is fine. If that's what he wants to do. I'm not someone that I would ever change what I'm saying or what I believe just so I can have access to the latest and greatest stuff from like Paramount or whoever. Anyway, since then, there's been more brouhaha than a breen wedding over at Paramount. In April, Paramount Global announced that its CEO, Bob Bakish, wasn't stepping back, but stepping down. Yeah, I am looking forward to that because Prodigy has been developed by Nickelodeon Studios. And it's different. It doesn't have... I think it's because it's not directly controlled by Kurtzman, which is a good thing. But whether or not he's got his grubby little hands on it now, and it's also because it's on Netflix, where not Netflix does something, is still yet to be seen. I'm hoping that it doesn't change and that it'll be just as good as season 1 was. Anyway. Officially, according to the original CNBC piece, Paramount and Skydance have agreed to terms of a merger, with a deal likely to be made public in the next coming days. The thing that, be honest with you, I'm not sure how I feel about this. It could be a good thing. In my opinion, it could also be a bad thing. I guess if you like JJ Trek, it's a good thing. Because JJ is not going, I imagine J.J. Abrams is not going anywhere with this. I don't know if he's going to be involved or not. I do know that him and Kurtzman have worked in the past together on projects. So, needless to say, I don't know if I know there was a talk when Kurtzman, back in December, when Warner Brothers and Discovery was looking at possibly buying Paramount. There was talks that Kurtzman was done with Trek and he wanted bought out. I don't know if that's the case here with Skydance, or Skydance has decided to give him a record and let him continue on. To be honest with you, I'm kind of hoping they just let him go away and buy him out and let somebody else, like, oh, I don't know, I got a name for you. How about Terry Matalas? Yeah. Terry Matalas, the guy that made Picard Season 3. Oh. In my opinion, the best Trek of all Kurtzman Trek that wasn't really Kurtzman Trek. Anyway, In general, the optics of this are better, no doubt, than the merger with Warner Brothers might have been. I don't know. Warner Brothers might have had a good spin on things. Who knows? But we'll never know now. Star Trek could have easily got lost amongst a huge range of programming. Actually, no. I think Warner Brothers at one point, the deal was and I think that's why Paramount didn't go for it, was they wanted to try to separate out and just purchase only Star Trek and leave the rest of the IPs with Paramount. They were actually, I read an article where they were working at one point talking with Skydance and trying to broker some type of deal so that Warner Brothers could get Star Trek out of the deal. So they were interested in Star Trek. Obviously, I don't think that happened now because Skydance and the Paramount merger are in talks, and it looks like they are finally going to happen. Given Skydance's track record and invested interest in Star Trek, the outcome is surely more positive. I don't disagree. I mean, it's a possibility that the Skydance merger could change things. Skydance is supposed to be taking control of 2/3 of all the IPs in Paramount. So this they call it a merger, but I think it's more like a buyout. Skydance is buying Paramount in a way. I mean, they're going to have 2/3 ownership. So the buck does stop with Skydance. To that end, there's a possibility that maybe we might see the Star Trek Legacy series come about. I would think it'd be awesome if they decided to bring in Terry Matalas into things. Simply, if they look at the record of all the current Kurtzman Trek that have been out, what was the one show that got the most ratings and the best Rotten Tomato score? It was not anything else but Picard Season 3. Seriously, if you don't believe me, go look for yourself. All the other Treks, even like New World, Strange New Worlds, and Prodigy, and all that, none of them had the same level of good ratings as Picard Season 3 did. And I think that was solely because Terry Matalas is a Trekkie. He's also worked on current Trek for a number of years. He knows how Trek is made, how it should be made. So I'm kind of hoping maybe that might happen. Who knows? But anyway, when I was reading some of this, I also noticed there was a thing come out from the Wand Company. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. The Wand Company is actually a company that makes like sort of realistic geek stuff. Like that's like Harry Potter. I'll show you some things I've got. I actually own this right here. This is the Star Trek TOS remote control phaser, universal remote control prop, and it is definitely uber high quality. I mean, there's some heft and weight to it. The part on this right here that looks like a battery, which is supposed to be the battery in Canon, that's the battery for a phaser, for a Type 2 phaser in TOS. It's actually got some weight to it, and it screws on, and it's also magnetic. There's a base plate, so you can actually set it up on a stand. There's a dial right here that you can change different settings of sound and things like that. They also made, which I don't have, I'd love to get, they also made a TOS Bluetooth Star Trek communicator that links up with your phone and allows you to, you flip open the grill and you're talking using, so you get a phone call in and you pick it up and use it like a Bluetooth headset, but instead it's a communicator, which I think is awesome. Well, guess what? The Wand Company has been working on a tricorder for the longest time. And just to show you, I'm going to play this little thing right here. Hopefully I don't get hit. I'm going to mute it. So you can just kind of see what the the tricorder look is. This is a TOS style tricorder, the kind that Bones, McCoy and Spock carried during the series. And they are making it really, really realistic. I mean, look, it's got a real display and so forth. It's not, I don't think it's an actual tricorder. This is a prop, but it is a functioning prop. To that end, Adam Savage, I don't know if you know who Adam Savage is out there. He was with Jamie Hyneman, a Mythbuster. I love Mythbusters, that show. Well, he also has a YouTube site called Adam Savage's Tested. I've been watching him for a number of years as well. And the other day he had there's a link, by the way, down to in the description to Adam Savage as well as to the Wand Company for the Star Trek tricorder. And I thought we'd watch this little, like 26 minutes video on a member of the Wand Company came and showed up in not Amy. Why do they call him Amy? Adam Savage's lab. This penguin needs iced coffee because apparently I can't talk. So sip them if you got them. Anyway, he comes and brings this tricorder, which is not out yet, but supposedly supposed to be releasing in the fall. And he shows it off to Adam, and I think it's really cool. So let's watch it. Turn closed captioning on here.
Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave with Chris from the Wand Company. If you don't know the Wand Company, well, you're about to learn about the wonders and delight in the Wand Company, and you have brought something here that is a piece of science fiction ephemera that is really near and dear to my heart because this thing has never been fully, properly replicated, in my opinion.
No, and it is the quintessential sort of sci-fi.
And I agree with him completely. There's been people out there that make a tricorder prop for TOS, and they look okay. But this one right here, in my opinion, blows the doors off of anything anybody else has currently made or will be making. Because I'm telling you right now, when you see the functionality, I've already watched this. When you see the functionality of this, it's going to absolutely go, oh, if you're a Trekkie like me, you're going to say, oh, I want one. I was drooling over some of this. And I don't drool over everything. I just don't. Anyway.
Computer that started it all, really.
It really is. It's every time I'm using my iPhone or my watch and I'm looking up information, I am thinking back to the Star Trek tricorder. What 7, 8, 10-year-old me wanted to parse the world with.
Yeah, and how forward-thinking was it? They took computers at the time, filled a room, and thought, what if someone could carry one around their waist?
Like, that was a radical idea back then.
It was. And a lot of the features in the tricorder, there's the discs that we've now put in, the 8 discs, they were sold at the time. IBM were making computers with great big discs, a stack of 8. And I imagined that when they were designing it, they thought, what if that was condensed down in the future to just a small little bit?
Oh, that hadn't occurred to me. Of course.
Yes. And you can find the exact pictures of those things. They look like the same discs. It's just they're gigantic. And
yeah, see, like, for example, let me... I'm going to Google it. Computers in 1960s. Here's a good example. Wait a minute. Okay, this is an IBM thing. The discs he's talking about are like right here in this. I know that may be a little hard to see. Can I zoom in on it? let me do this. I'm going to try to see if I can't save it. And then bring it up and zoom in on it. The discs he's talking about are right here. Those things are huge. And then there's also the magnetic tape. This is like back in 1963. This was a computer that literally took a whole building. I mean, they're massive. And didn't have more processing power than a I mean, there's calculators out there that have more processing power than this did back in the day. So that's what we're talking about here. And to have a science fiction show, the Gene Roddenberry, to have the vision that those giant discs you would see would be shrunk down into a handheld type computing device, that's where Tricorder was in the series, is just way cool in my opinion. And we know for a fact, I mean, that's where a lot of our ideas come from anyway, with current technology. That's where the cell phone came from, an iPad came from, the ideas from them came from Star Trek. I mean, think about it. Where do you think flip phones came from? Flip phones came from the idea of the TOS communicator. You flipped open the thing and you talked on it. And iPads, you know, you saw those pads, those LCAR pads, like in Next Generation and so forth. I mean, it's not uncommon for Trek to be tied to real science. That's one of the things I like about it. At least science theory.
These are small. But obviously, we now know way too big.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously.
Okay, can we crack this? I'm dying to see.
So this is the shipper. This is how.
Okay, this is how it'll arrive when you order it.
So it's quite important to ship it so it doesn't get damaged. This is the first time anyone's going to be seeing this, by the way. So there've been people.
It's the full.
It's the full thing.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So let's get this out of here. Now, we went through a few iterations of the box, but this is only a sample. This box is a sample.
I love the spot varnish.
See, try to keep it a little bit in universe. It's hard because you don't know what might be happening in the future, in the past, but this would be something that might be issued to someone. They can write their name and the date on there.
Okay, so there's a phrase that I used.
This is also for people who like to cosplay and so forth. I can't say that I necessarily like to cosplay. I mean, I do as my penguin. I like to cosplay sometimes, but I do like the thought of that Star Trek phaser, and I love the idea of this tricorder. Oh my goodness!
When I wrote my talk about cosplay, where I said that cosplay was the process of pouring your body into a narrative that meant something to you. And before we've even seen this prop, I love the idea that you have dual purpose the packaging in case the person wants to think of this as an in-universe delivery box for an actual tricorder, and they can put their name and serial number on there.
As if they were being issued it.
That is beautiful.
But the thing is that that pouring themselves into the fancy, the cosplayer, and in fact the fan, straddles a line. When they stand in front of Shatner and ask him to sign their thing, they don't ask James Kirk to sign it. They ask Shatner to sign it.
That's true.
But when they hold it, they feel like Kirk.
Right.
Exactly. He's not wrong there. I mean, when I hold that sometimes when I get that when I watch this, I'll be honest with you, I got out my phaser and played with it for a little bit. It just, there's something tangible about holding it. It makes you feel like you're part of that universe, part of that IP. In my case, part of TOS Trek, which is my favorite era anyway. I am a Kirk, Spock, and McCoy type of penguin.
Right. So how do they work that
Always
out?
have, always will be.
When they hold the prop replica, they want it to look like the real prop.
Yeah.
But they also want a piece of equipment they could hold.
I always, I want an experience from the prop. I don't just want it to look right. I want it to feel right. That's
You want to feel like you're
also want
part
it
of
to
the
look
actual
absolutely like the
show,
prop. Of course.
baby.
So if the prop was made and it wasn't quite that good, and we're trying to sort of idealize it a bit, we've got to tread that line between making it perfectly like the prop and yet perfectly like a real thing that you might use.
And you're going to encounter manufacturing inefficiencies that you have to accommodate for. That means sometimes you can't build topographically the exact piece that you're trying to replicate.
And mostly those things will come because we can't fit the components in,
Right,
or the molding can't be done in a way that you can afford, or just that it wouldn't be robust enough. And if you would use it in a daily pace, it would just fall apart. So here we are.
Beautiful.
And of
I
course,
love the
that
spot
journey
varnish.
starts with that. Yeah, and to be fair, I'm a little bit of a cheat. It's once you've got the kind of graphical thing in your head, it's a home run.
Now I know you're thinking, okay, they're milking the box, so let's skip a little bit. That's what I did when I watched it earlier the other day.
I appreciate.
Okay,
even
so the
engineering
box has
of
been
that nice
opened.
Okay, well, so we'll just ignore this for a moment. This is where the manual's going to sit. This is a very quick and dirty, not a proper manual, but it gives me the scope for the size of the manual.
Yeah.
The real one is a bit dull for me. This is a quick dummy. I'm going to do a nebula behind here, so it'll be like this layout, but it'll be
A little more of a dramatic.
yeah, it'll
star
be dramatic.
field.
And then on the back, on the front, depending on how you look at it,
look
there'll
at
be a little
that.
line drawing. So this is a very quick rough. This is all what they.
Yeah, and we're gonna skip this part too because they start talking about fonts. Which, I like a good discussion every now and then about fonts, but they go on for a little bit about fonts. I mean, quite a bit. Okay. So now my phaser came with, my phaser is made by the Wand Company. This is the same company. Fonts are fun. Yeah, I use fonts all the time. It's actually what I do in my thumbnails. I try to, like, for example, if I'm making a video about Star Trek, I will purposely try to use a Star Trek font. If I'm making one about Star Wars, I'll do the same thing with that. I have a specific font I use for my particular brand with my logo and stuff. If it's just something I need to put text on, I'll use my particular font that I like using. Anyway. So, but the cool thing is that he was just showing off that there's going to be a manual in there, and I can attest to the fact that the manual is pretty accurate and it's pretty detailed. The one I got for my phaser was. And that's just a phaser. I can imagine what it's going to be like for a tricorder, which has so many more functions. Anyway.
The outline.
Oh, look at the leather.
Yeah, look at that case. Look at that.
Inside.
Before I've even seen it, the leather is beautiful.
It's
Yes.
nice. So, like all our products, we want people to be able to display them. So one of the first things you'll encounter is the stand. And one of the things we want is the stand has to be in the real world because it's going to be in your display cabinet.
Right.
But it has to be sort of like the thing that could be in the captain's.
You don't want it to take the piece itself too far out of the
Yes, and it's got to be neat and tidy. And this actually goes with the stands that we've made for our previous ones, the phaser and the communicator. It's in this. It's zinc, it's cast, solid. There's magnets in here, so it will hold onto it.
So it sits really
Then it's got this EVA rubber on the bottom, so it'll just.
And the stand is pretty solid.
It's
got some heft to it. At least the one for my my phaser does. So I imagine the one for the tricorder probably does as well. It looks like it does.
It starts that way. It's a bit like a really posh meal on a nice clean white plate.
It
tastes better. So that's the whole thing.
Agreed.
Here we've got the
Touch
disc.
of paints?
That would be or nail varnish, whichever one you want to look at.
Oh, sure. These are the computer discs.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, they're so
These
are so beautiful.
Are
we'll
pretty
take them out.
thick and chunky.
We're going to put them in a sec, so we may as well get them out.
Awesome.
So each one, the colours were chosen. We chose some colours, and then the colours were chosen because fans replied to us on our blog and said the colours don't look realistic. So the weird thing with the colours is when you look at the colours on the show, a bright red will look bright in one area, almost like orange, or look dark, and it's very hard to gauge. So you can take.
Yeah, notice there. Did you notice it? Like, look right here. It looks that one right there next to Adam looks orange right now. But go to the next frame, it looks red. Did you notice that? Right here, it looks orange. And it looks red here. It hasn't changed. They haven't changed out the disc. That's what they're talking about here, is that when you look in the show, that's why, for example, I always thought it was kind of odd that sometimes I tend to pay attention to details. And I noticed that sometimes the gold uniforms will look more yellowish at times than they do gold, and vice versa. It's just kind of and I guess that's probably because they didn't change the color of the uniforms. It's probably just the lighting and the camera angle and so forth. It changes.
When you look at colors like that, if you take a spot measure from the different colors, then you'll find that what you thought was red is actually like brown or something. You can't really tell. So we've selected a palette of colors. There's another.
You really have you've stayed very close to the sort of the palette of Star Trek and also of sort of mid-century American design.
That is,
yes.
And everywhere you look at the design here, we're going to see echoes of another weird dichotomy between the 1960s and the 1960s as they envisaged the 23rd century.
Right.
So to get the 23rd century 50 or 100 years ago, or 50 years ago, let's say 50 years ago, then that is the coolest bit, to try and get the juxtaposition of those things, because we're imagining the future as it would have looked a while back.
Right.
So let's take this out.
Exactly. Okay, here we go.
The next thing you notice here,
here we go, baby!
Oh, the strap is wrapped up
Instead of it being folded or creased, it's now going to come with, this is quite a large...
Now, see, that right there cannot be understated, because a lot of things like this, they'll fold over the strap, and then that strap's got a permanent crease in it, and this doesn't. I mean, it's a leather strap, obviously, because it's made from the same leather that this pouch is made from, but it's going to not. I think it's kind of cool that they're going to coil it like that, so it doesn't have any creases. They are really, that's what I love about the Wand Company. They really go the extra mile for the details. They really do. Perfect example. Let me go back to, this chamber right here on the actual phaser. That screws open and you look inside. I gotta wait for the picture to. Oh, here, let me bring it up like this. Okay, here we go. This little right here on the phaser, they've gone through the extra detail of, first off, this top part right here is a TOS phaser type 1. It is detachable. It is the actual universal remote part. This bottom half is just like a dock that turns it into a type 2 phaser, just like in the show. This right here, there's the trigger, obviously. This right here is where the actual crystals that are used in the production of the phaser beam, you can actually unscrew this and look and see the crystals inside there. I mean, the level of detail that the Wand Company does, and they got a look, you don't see it, but there's a little clear through window right here, because the infrared portion on the type 1 phaser actually shoots through there, so you can still use it as a TV remote, either in the type 1 configuration or the type 2 configuration, which I've done both. It also charges up via USB, and we'll see here in a little bit that the Tricorder is going to be doing the exact same thing. I point that out because it's just amazing to me. The Wand Company, I think they're geeks. I really do. I think it's clear and obvious. The love and the care and the attention to detail to the show and to the IP that they're creating these props for is there. 100%.
Shape so you don't get it damaged when you get the strap. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I've had the experience of pulling out the tricorder,
yeah, it's all kind
and
of
the strap
folded
is
and
this.
it's just a tiny horrible thing.
Yeah.
So let's take this out now. Let's put this to
Take a look at this.
I'm so excited.
Look at that. Look at that.
so it's like a sort
Yeah.
of 1950s or 1960s camera case.
It really is.
And yet something you could imagine. Now we went away, if you remember, for the communicator and for the phaser, we had these plastic boxes.
I so
like
want
gun
one of
cases.
these.
I mean, it came from the idea of a sort of a little gun case, like an ammo case. But we wanted this one. This is more of a scientific instrument, so we wanted it to have a feel of a camera case or a scientific instrument case.
And there were some magnets there in the closure.
Which is quite nice. And then this lovely feature. One of the early ones we did, it went straight across and it was lower. It just somehow...
No good.
This gives it much more of a 1970s, 1960s feel. You're gonna...
Can I?
You can, but let's just take it out.
And see, look, the strap is connected to the actual tricorder and not the case. I think that's so cool.
Oh, that folds nice and flat.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's very cool.
So let's just place it on the stand. So it does have magnets on the stand. So it's
Look at that.
but it
Oh
sits,
my
so it's not scratching
goodness.
the surface.
Yep.
Ah!
The texture itself is the Kydex texture, but on the base they had the texture. They actually had a piece of black masking tape. So that's black masking tape texture.
That's so funny.
So that sits there like that, and it just sits slightly off the surface. And this will go with the
It'll sit of a piece with the phaser base.
with the phaser and the communicator.
Yep.
Of course, if you want,
Yep.
you can. I suppose you can train this round to roll it up. With the strap, it's a bit hard to know what to do. So you've got the two doors. At the moment, that's the charging cables
Sure.
there. But it has removable dividers, which are not in this one.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So you could put dividers in there.
Dividers
that
come
will
with
be
it.
provided.
Yes.
I was trying to get it to where you could see inside there.
And this will be a cardboard box in here, which will be fitting that shape.
Oh, excellent.
Now, see, look. Right now, it's not anything in there, but they're going to have it to where you can actually store stuff in there. Like one of the things that they're talking about, that they'll talk about here in a second, is you know how McCoy had this tricorder, and he had that little handheld device he used for scanning people. And we saw that also even in TNG with Crusher. She had one on their tricorders as well. So you could have that like, little scanning device. Even Spock from time to time had one with a science tricorder.
And the dividers are made in such a way we haven't made it. And before all fans get really antsy about it, we haven't made the medical attachment. There's a medical bit, but the dividers have been made to fit the what we think is the standard size for that. Yeah. So if people want to make that.
Yeah. See, they're talking about the little thing they talk about. Yeah.
They can make it fit. And then you've got the top.
And this is where the memory goes in.
So we'll do that in a sec.
Okay.
And then you've got this.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at that.
So the grill,
And they'll show the middle piece here in a little bit in a better detail.
specially made.
I was going to say.
Look at that.
I don't
that
think
grill.
anybody
I mean,
else
the
has gotten
aesthetics on
grill
this
that
is just
close to the original.
top
have they?
notch.
We did it with the communicator. We actually had the grill. The weird thing with the original grill is it was pressed between two wheels. That's how they made the grill. It was basically rollered between two cutters.
Okay.
So they've got lots of holes and they stamp it, and it's just rolled through
yeah.
like a calendar, I think it's called. And they made it for this cheapish radio, this sort of little transistor radio.
Yeah.
And you can buy that grill. You could buy those radios. In fact, we bought a few.
Sure.
For the communicator, it was machined. It was drilled and machined. It still blows my mind that they did it. I think this one's stamped, but it even the whole pitch, everything about it is accurate. Then you've got these here, which are the watch crowns. Now in
Yeah, in the show, those lit up.
the original tricorder that we did scan,
Yeah.
the one that was Greg Jean, who sadly passed away, as you know, but he came with us and we scanned it, his one that he had. These jewels are basically from the watch crowns, and they're just stuck on, and they're just coloured. And we thought we'd make them into lights, so that's all. And they're different. There was 4 or 5 different tricorders, and some had these little watch crowns, but other ones had pins, just literally tiny little dressmakers pins.
Oh, wow.
With different colours, And those colors,
He's talking about the show props.
that's what tells you what different tricorders there are out there, and they're shown in different episodes.
Wow.
After the first few shows, something happened inside that broke whatever was in it, and it never got opened after that.
Oh.
So the actual one we saw doesn't have an inside. When you open it here, it's just empty.
It's nothing.
But you can see, there are pictures where you can see pictures of it.
This is a beautiful piece of, this is aluminum.
Yeah, it's...
That little handle.
Yeah, it's
had
not
to have
plastic.
also been
It's metal, baby.
Yeah.
So
Metal.
that's machined out of a bit of bent bar or whatever. These are machined. This has to be extremely accurate. I mean, because if it's too tight, you don't get this lovely detent.
Right. And then also the face of this is machined aluminum.
Yeah, and this all the edges have been chamfered round.
Crazy.
This is what we were talking earlier about, the Tritan. This is the Tritan. It's like glass.
Ah, it's gorgeous.
And
And,
it's
this is like a super durable, like polycarb
Yeah,
kind of plastic.
polyester. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. It's, let's turn it on. There we go. That's better.
Ooh.
So it's just
listen to this.
initializing. The lights are coming on.
The light color is really nice.
Really gorgeous, isn't it? And there you go.
Oh,
Look at that.
Oh,
Did you see the chevron?
working screen. I knew we were
Yes,
going to say
working screen, baby.
The other thing is, there is
You
a few...
make your own passcode.
You can make your own passcode, and then if you don't enter it and you try to go in, it will just, let's see.
Access to.
Yeah, so
Access denied. So you can put your own PIN code on this thing like you do on a cell phone. And when you try to use it and you don't have the right PIN code, it shows the access denied screen. Isn't that cool?
Also, there's an episode where, I just want to quickly go over this, where there's an episode where a doctor has it like this.
Yeah.
Now, this right here tells me they've gone the extra mile to pay close attention to the way the thing was in the show. Because look at this. Some of these ones you see don't do this. This one does.
Holds it this so they can read it like this.
Oh.
And no other replica has been able to turn all the way back. They all turn to about this level. Whereas
Okay.
actually most of the time. The other funny thing is that Spock, because of the shooting, he often held it like this. And he's actually not looking at it. He is pointing at it, but he was looking at the camera, and then the camera was seeing it because he couldn't have it.
Right.
Now,
I always thought that was weird.
there are a few scenes where McCoy is actually seen looking at it, because McCoy was a different kind of actor. He believed in it being realistic, because he was quite a famous actor. He was a famous actor before he started it. He'd been in shows of doctors and things. Anyway, let's put the correct passcode in.
All right.
So we'll just, so it's, what we've put in there is 1701, which I'm guessing.
Oh, nice.
1701
You could put any number
Enterprise.
you want, though. So we're now into the main part of the tricorder.
Dude, it's a full color screen. It's so pretty.
Yes.
Very good. Now there's a lot of bright lights in here, but now if we put the disc,
Oh, this looks great. The moire.
and it's
It's
lit
got the
up.
moire pattern. Look at that. Look at
there's
this.
That's so cool.
Look at
I've got-
this.
there's
That is just so cool. It's got a real working screen, the moire pattern, the buttons actually do things. Okay. I'm getting a message from YouTube. Yep, they took my stream down. I'm still going on Rumble and Kick though. You know, I don't understand what they're doing. I feel like I'm being picked on by YouTube today. Cuz earlier this week I did a test live stream to see if this would pull up any flags with YouTube, and it didn't. It didn't pull up any flags at all. But now all of a sudden, it is. Yeah, Tracy, I know. YouTube went down, and I'm not bringing it up a third time. YouTube has stopped my stream. They did it because they believe it's that they have detected a video on somebody else's channel, which, yes, they have, but I'm doing a reaction to this. The other thing besides this was, I was saying earlier that I actually earlier this week did a live test stream of this and didn't have any problems at all from YouTube. And now all of a sudden, took it down. The more and more I feel like I just don't want to stream on YouTube much anymore. It's frustrating to me. But it's still live up on Rumble and Kick. Yep. Take it down for policy violations, which is funny. I have proof in my unlisted videos that they didn't do a policy violation earlier this week when I did a test. I did a test stream doing this exact same video. Shocker. Anyway, it's just one of those days, apparently. YouTube doesn't like me, and for whatever reason... Oh, now they decided to let it go back up. Your stream is no longer being blocked due to copyright issues. All right, well, I've been going too long anyway. I got a link to the rest of this video down in the description of my video, so you can go watch the rest of this yourself. I wasn't really going to watch all of it anyway. I just wanted to watch some of this stuff. But some of the things they did here, the discs themselves go into this slot, and whichever disc you put in this last slot right here determines what comes up on the screen. It's really kind of cool. So I urge you, if you like this kind of stuff like I do, and that if you are a Trekkie, especially a TOS, old school Trekkie, then go watch the rest of this video for yourself. You're going to love it. Anyway, I am tired of fighting this stream staying up and fighting the tech issues I've had. Weird. I've had internet issues the last several days, but today I didn't have any internet issues. I just had issues with my sound and issues with YouTube and everything. So, All right. So I'm going to call it there. I hope you found something interesting today that I discussed about. If you didn't, then I thank you for your time anyway. And I will be back again next week with more Penguin Thoughts around this same Bat Penguin time, same Bat Penguin channel. And I will catch you all later. So later, peeps.